Welcome back to Story Time. Last week we had heard the story of the great Rishi Vedavyasa. Today let us hear the story of Sage Valmiki, another renowned Rishi who is known as the Adi Kavi or the first poet of our great Sanatana Dharma. And his work, the Ramayana, is known as the Adi Kavya or the first work of poetry. But what made him such a great sage as we know him today? So let us go back and hear his story. He was born as the son of a sage, Pracheta, who is known as the mind-born son of Lord Brahmaji. As a child, he was of course brought up in the family of sages and in that Rishi Dharma. But when they used to stay on the banks of a river lined by a dense forest, one day the little boy wandered off and then he got lost in the forest. He was found by a hunter who brought him up as his own son. And so this little boy now grew up to be one among the hunter tribe or the Bhil tribe. As he grew up, he soon was married to a beautiful girl from the hunter family, and then in time he got many sons. Now, though his profession was hunting, he soon realized that was not enough to provide for food, clothing and the other needs of his expanding family. And so he took to robbery. In those days, villagers would have to move and cross dense forests when they had to travel from one village to another. And so Ratnakar, the hero of our story today, would wait and lie in hiding and then suddenly attack and pounce upon these unsuspecting travelers. And whatever they had with them had to be handed over for fear of losing their lives. And if some traveler by chance would resist him, Ratnakar would mercilessly kill them and then collect all the booty and head off to his house. Now, as Ratnakar was fending for his family, he did not stop and think whether he was following the path of dharma or adharma. He just knew that it was his duty to look after his wife, his children and his aged parents. And so this continued. In fact, it is said that Ratnakar had huge jars filled with pebbles, one pebble for each murder that he had committed. And Ratnakar knew no repentance. Now one day, when Ratnakar was waiting and hiding to suddenly pounce upon some traveler, who should come there but a group of sages led by none other than Sage Narada. When Ratnakar suddenly attacked them and told them, hand over whatever you have if you value your life, Sage Narada just smiled calmly and said, all I have is this veena of mine and some rags that I am wearing. You can take them if you wish. Ratnakar, who had always noticed that whoever encountered him would tremble in fear and then collapse at his feet and hand over whatever they had, suddenly saw that this sage was neither afraid, nor trembled, nor agitated. In fact, this sage smiled so serenely that Ratnakar felt a peace descending in his own heart. And Ratnakar suddenly asked him, aren't you afraid? Why don't you get scared just like all the others do? What makes you so different? While Sage Narada said, leave that aside. Tell me, why are you doing this? Don't you know that what you are doing is considered to be a sin? Ratnakar answered, I am doing it to look after the needs of my family. How can this be a sin while all that I am doing is my duty? Now Sage Narada replied, son, I agree that you are following your duty just to look after your family. But do you think they would share whatever sin that you incur while doing this? Ratnakar was mystified. He was baffled at this question. But then he answered, "Of course, yes. If they take a share in all that I carry and get through this looting and robbery, they would surely be ready to share the sins that I incur." Narada smiled and said, "Are you sure, Ratnakar?" This set Ratnakar thinking. He wasn't so sure now. And so sage Narada added, "Why don't you go home and ask them? I will wait here with the rest of these sages for company." Ratnakar now started laughing. He realized that this was just a ploy to send him away, and now all these travelers would run away and escape from him. But no, sage Narada had another answer. He said, "If you want, you can tie us up to any tree here to make sure that we won't escape. Though I assure you, we will not run away from you. But you go and find out. Be certain for yourself." And so it was that now Ratnakar, wanting an answer to this mystifying question, decided to tie up sage Narada and all the other sages, and then he rushed off home. When he entered his house, he first approached his aged parents and said, "Oh father, oh mother, do you know I have been using robbery and dacoity as a means of providing food for you. I have heard that I will incur sin by doing this. Won't you be a part of that too? For you know that whatever I have done is for your sake." His parents looked at him and said, "Oh, this is not what we expected from you. You have chosen to rob and loot people. How can you expect us to be a part of the sins that you are collecting for yourself?" Now, Ratnakar couldn't believe his ears. He rushed to his wife and said, "Oh dear one, don't you know that whatever jewels I bring for you, whatever new clothes I bring, are because I managed to plunder the wayside travelers. I know that I must be incurring some amount of sin. Won't you also be a part of that?" While his wife turned around and said, "How can you ask that of me? The duty of a husband is to provide for his wife and children. I do not know what means you have been adopting, and for sure I will not be a part of that sin." Now, the totally disillusioned Ratnakar ran to his beloved children. He said, "Oh dear ones, I have been looking after you like a doting father. Whatever I do is so that you are happy. But won't you be a part of the sin that I am incurring in bringing all the things that you need?" The children replied, "Oh father, no, no, no. We will not be a part of that sin, for we do not know why it is that you have taken to this path." And this is how Ratnakar suddenly realized the truth of life. That whatever he had done for his parents, for his wife and his children, still left him all alone on this path of life. Whatever sins had been collecting in his account was only his. And so he ran back crying, and he fell at the feet of sage Narada and told him, "Oh great sage, please help this sinner. What have I done? There is nobody else but you for me. Tell me, how can I redeem myself?" And sage Narada very gently, very lovingly lifted him up and told him, "Ratnakar, nothing is lost. True tears of repentance will always bring you back on the right path. Surrender to the Lord. I will teach you a mantra. Don't think of anything else. Just chant this mantra continuously till I return to you. Now I am going with this mantra gifted to you." And he whispered the name of Lord Rama. Now Ratnakar found the name of Rama too difficult to utter, and so the compassionate sage Narada told him to chant the word Mara, which was nothing else but Rama in reverse. And being used to killing and murdering, the word Mara came very easily to Ratnakar. And Ratnakar taking the words of his guru very sincerely and to his heart, sat down and began this tapas. Non-stop he continued chanting Mara, Mara, Mara till it became the name of Rama. An anthill grew on him because days passed into weeks, weeks into months, months into years. Ratnakar forgot all about his body. He forgot about food, water, hunger, thirst. Finally, when the great sage Narada came back as promised, he saw an anthill in the place that Ratnakar had been practicing this name of Mara. Shaking off the dust of the anthill, he woke him up and gave him a new name, Valmiki, because Valmika means anthill in Sanskrit. Valmiki fell at the feet of his guru Sage Narada, and Sage Narada then told him the entire story of Rama, the word on whom he had been meditating upon for so many years. Hearing the entire Ramayana from his guru, Valmiki was now a transformed person. He took up abode on the banks of the river Tamasa, and in his hermitage he would meditate upon the Ramayana. Now one day there was a hunter who came very near his hermitage, and as Valmiki was watching, the hunter took aim and suddenly shot one of a pair of Krauncha birds who were playing very joyfully. When Valmiki saw this cruel deed of the hunter, and he saw the dying Krauncha bird as well as the other bird of the pair crying and wailing in grief, his heart melted, and out of compassion, he spoke out a curse at the hunter. This curse was in fact in poetry. It was the first shloka composed ever. And Lord Brahmaji came there and told him, what you have just uttered is known as a shloka or a poem, and you will be known as the Adi Kavi. Now I advise you, I command you that you compose the entire Ramayana in the same way and in the same poetical meter. Valmiki, with the blessings of Lord Brahmaji and his guru Sage Narada, began this great momentous task. Sitting in his hermitage along the banks of the river, he could imagine the entire Ramayana as it actually happened. And so, he composed this entire greatest epic that we know, Ramayana. During the Ramayana, he also gave refuge to Mate Sita and looked after Lava and Kusha and became their guru. In fact, sage Valmiki taught Lava and Kusha to sing the entire Ramayana, which they did in the court of Lord Sri Rama. And this is how sage Valmiki also played a role in reuniting the father with his sons. The story of the transformation of Ratnakar the bandit to sage Valmiki is indeed an inspiration to all of us, because this shows that even the worst sinner can indeed become a saint. May the grace of the Guru and the great saints of India be ever upon us. I hope you liked today's story, and if you did, do share it with your family and friends. And I will be back with another story next Thursday. Until we meet again, Hari Om.